LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And oh god, man, again, if you saw my last video of the X Plus 25 centimeter Showdown 1972 Rick exclusive set of both Godzilla and Gigan from 1972's Godzilla vs. Gigan, I teased at the very end of that video that we'll be covering this guy. And this guy is so amazing. Let me get that out the way right now. So again, you already clicked the title, you know exactly who we're covering here. So without further ado, let's dive head first into this awesome, brilliant, spectacular X Plus 30 centimeter figure review. And today we'll take a look at the X Plus 30 centimeter G-Store exclusive of Godzilla from Godzilla The Ride. Yes, in all his glory. Oh my god, this thing is so amazing. From head to dorsal plates, to claws, to toes, the big feet, the long tail. Oh my god, this thing is so amazing on so many different levels. You know, we do things around here. Let's get up close and personal with the box and the packaging before we get into the figure. And hold on, bear with me, because it's kind of a sizable box for a sizable figure. But here we are. Picture of the box, you know what I'm saying, with the picture of Godzilla, the figure, you know what I'm saying. G-Store exclusive sticker in the upper right hand corner. The Japanese text of the title of the figure, Godzilla The Ride, 30 centimeter. Cool box art, you know what I'm saying? Again, this is a big box. This is a sizable box. When I got the shipping for this guy through Awesome Collector, thank you, Jason Wellen. When I got the shipping through this guy, I was like, ooh, wow. It was kind of steep. But once I got the box in my hand, I was like, yeah, it's kind of understandable. Because again, a great big box for a great big figure. But again, it's not about the box, it's about the figure. Again, this is the X Plus 30 centimeter G-Store exclusive of Godzilla from Godzilla The Ride. And right off the bat, again, let's talk about the size right quick. Size, oh my god, this thing is big. It's a bigger size 30 centimeter figure, you know what I'm saying? He clocks in like maybe 13 inches tall. And from the tip of his tail to the tip of his big clown shoes feet, he measures in at 24 inches long, which is basically 2 feet long. So again, if you're going to get this guy, which I highly recommend, by the way, make sure you got enough space on your shelves for him, or if you're going to have him more so out in the open, which is probably better for him, considering how big he is. But trust me, you're going to need a lot of space for this guy. He commands it and he needs it, but he's so well worth it. So basically, this version of Godzilla is, again, from Godzilla The Ride, and it's from an indoor attraction from the Seibuen amusement park that was officially unveiled last year, I want to say of May of 2021, during the park's reopening. And X Plus wasted no time on capitalizing on this design, because when the video came out of the ride, because again, you know, it's an indoor attraction ride, no different than the Back to the Future ride from Universal Studios. For those who have been to Universal Studios and experienced Back to the Future ride, the Back to the Future ride, excuse me, basically you're like in this room with a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of seats, and you have like multiple video screens, or maybe one big giant video screen, and the video plays and the room moves along with the video to propel you into the 3D experience. Basically, Godzilla The Ride is no different than that. You know what I'm saying? And X Plus, again, wasted no time on capitalizing on this release, because this came up for pre-order, I want to say November of 2021. And again, the ride was unveiled in May of that year. So again, X Plus wasted no time on capitalizing on this release. Now, I'll talk more about the video later on, but to give you a small synopsis of the video or of the ride itself, basically you're like in this Jeep on this vehicle, and you're like traveling through this city that's in the process of being destroyed and decimated. Now, it's being destroyed by an unseen force, but you kind of know who it is, you know what I'm saying? And gradually the threat reveals itself, and it's none other than a new version of King Ghidorah. And King Ghidorah is destroying the city, then all of a sudden he spots you trying to navigate through the city, and he does everything he can to try and stop you, to try and kill you, blah, blah, blah. And then Rodan makes a small cameo for like 30 seconds, you know what I'm saying? And then after that, after he dispatches Rodan, then Godzilla eventually shows up, and then you get a bird's eye view. Basically, you caught in the crossfires during this ride simulation of the battle between both King Ghidorah and Godzilla, which sounds awesome, you know what I'm saying? And again, the video of the ride is on YouTube right now. So again, if you're not able to get to Japan to experience the ride yourself, you can see what the video looks like on YouTube, but it looks really, really fun. Again, I'll talk more about the video towards the tail end of the video. And again, S Plus wasted no time on capitalizing on getting this guy on their roster. And again, the figure came up for pre-order again in November of 2021, and there's 3 versions of this figure. You have this version that was made exclusively for the Godzilla store, hence why it's called the Godzilla store exclusive, which came with translucent blue dorsal plates, no different than the alternate painted gigantic GMK Godzilla, or the Rick version of the gigantic 2019 Godzilla, or the Rick version of the gigantic 64 Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, just translucent blue dorsal plates, which looks awesome. Then it came with a lighter Rick exclusive figure, and it also came with a standard, which came with basically just dirty brown dorsal plates, really dark brown dorsal plates, or whatever. So between the 3 versions, I opted to get this one because again, I'm a huge fan of the blue dorsal plates, the translucent blue dorsal plates when it comes to certain Godzillas. So even though I enjoyed the standard and the light up one, this one was the one I really wanted to add to my collection. But either way, whether you have this one or the light up or the standard, this is a cool figure to have. You know what I'm saying? So there's not much really a big backstory with this Godzilla because again, it never appeared in an official movie, even though it is an official version of Godzilla. But I've mentioned a couple times before that S Plus wasted no time on getting this guy on their roster. Really, when you really think about the other versions of Godzilla from the Reiwa era, whether it's Shin or the anime Godzilla from the anime trilogy or even Singular Point, once those projects came out, S Plus really wasted no time, like maybe some months after that, to create a version of the particular Godzilla to put on their roster, and the Godzilla The Ride is no different. And speaking of the Reiwa versions of Godzilla, I have to say, with this figure in my hand, I actually enjoy this one the most. He's like my favorite version of the Reiwa version of Godzilla. Better than Shin, of course better than the anime trilogy, because that one, in my opinion, sucks. I can't stand that version of Godzilla. Godzilla Earth, no, can't do it. Singular Point, Ultima, because they did do a Devil Real version of Godzilla Ultima. The jury is still out on that for me. I don't like it. I don't hate it. I'm like indifferent to it. But if there's like a cool version of him that S Plus will do, which I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll do a 30cm version at some point of Godzilla Ultima. If it looks good, I may go after that one. But Godzilla Earth, ain't doing it. But for the time being, this is my favorite version of Godzilla from the Reiwa era, and this is such a cool collectible. So that's it with the backstory, with me getting this figure, the packaging, where it comes from, all that good stuff. This is such a cool version of Godzilla. And speaking of being a cool version of Godzilla, this basically, when you look at the figure, when you look at the design of this version of Godzilla, basically it's like a hybrid of Godzillas. I don't recall Toho officially coming out and saying this, but when you look at this version of Godzilla, there are certain aspects that you have seen from other Godzillas. It's like they took something special about this version of Godzilla, or that version of Godzilla, or that version of Godzilla, and they put them all together in this singular entity of Godzilla, and it looks great. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of comes across as a work of art. And speaking of work of art, when it comes to work of art, you may see a painting, right, that has like an orange strip on it, right? And, you could look at it a many different ways. You may look at it one way, but the next person behind you may see something different. The person behind that person may see something different. That is the cool thing about art, because again, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, as the old saying goes. And with this figure right here, this is such a work of art. And again, they took certain special things about various versions of earlier forms of Godzilla and embedded into this version of Godzilla. Now, it's open to interpretation. You know what I'm saying? You're not wrong if you have a different interpretation of mine. But again, here's what I see when I see this version of Godzilla. Look at the feet. The feet look awesome. They're big. They're massive. They're kind of clown shoey. You know what I'm saying? But when I look at the feet, I think of GMK, you know what I'm saying? I think of the oversized, just monstrous looking feet and toenails of the GMK Godzilla. That's what I see when I look at the feet. Now, maybe you can make an argument for the Heisei version, like maybe the 93 or 94 or 95, where he had big oversized feet. But the toes here reminds me more of GMK, but I can understand if you make an argument for the later Heisei versions of Godzilla. But that's what I see when I look at the feet. Now, let's go to the tail. The tail looks great. The tail is awesome. It is big. It is massive. It is long, but it's spiky. It's really spiky. It doesn't have the normal smaller versions of the dorsal plates that are on Godzilla's main row of dorsal plates on his back, right? The tail has more of a spiky texture to it. Has more spikes protruding out of the tail. And honestly, when I look at this tail, I don't think about Godzilla. I don't think about a version of Godzilla. Honestly, when I look at this tail, I think of Anguirus. When you compare this tail to the tail of an Anguirus figure or an Anguirus design, it kind of looks the same, because Anguirus also has a tail that is long, but it has those spikes protruding out of his tail. You know, just like the spikes protruding from his back. But when you look at this version of Godzilla here from The Ride, you see all these multiple spikes in random area, and they're jagged and they're pointy. Kind of reminds me of Anguirus. So when I see the tail, I think of Anguirus. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the dorsal plates. Now, the placement of the dorsal plates, especially with this one big one right here on the top of Godzilla's back right here, which gives him more of a humpback type of posture. When I look at the placement of the dorsal plates, I think of the 95 or the Rebirth, where you have, you know, this big dorsal plate right here on basically at the same point of that Godzilla's back, and they go smaller as you go down towards the small of his back. That's what I see when it comes to the placement of the dorsal plates. I see the 95 in the sculpt of Godzilla The Ride. Now, the shapes of the dorsal plates reminds me of shins. Now, that could be the fourth form, that could be the third form, that could be the second form, but when it comes to the shapes of the actual dorsal plates themselves, I actually see Shin Godzilla's dorsal plates that were taken to put on this version of Godzilla, which looks awesome, which looks amazing. Now, the skin texture is a combination of two versions of Godzilla. The first version, I see little elements of the Showa version, where you have more of a tree bark-like skin texture on this version of Godzilla that we've seen countless times before in the various Showa versions of Godzilla. In certain areas, it does have the tree bark-like skin. So again, I see somewhat of a Showa Godzilla in this version of Godzilla with the tree bark-like skin. The other part, the armor plating, because it's not tree bark all over the figure, you have some really detailed skin ridges as well as armor plating, like I said, in this version of Godzilla. And when I see that, I think of Legendary, because the Legendary Godzilla had some armor plating on his skin as well. His skin kind of came across as armor plating. So that's what I see when it comes to the skin texture of this version of Godzilla. The Showa version as well as the Legendary version. The pose, with this pose like this where he's twisting and his arms are out, you know what I'm saying? I hate to say it, but I gotta call it like it is. I gotta call a spade a spade. When I see this version of Godzilla, at least the pose, I think of the Final Wars Godzilla. And everybody knows how I feel about Final Wars. Oh my God. And you know what? I'm going to agree with my fellow YouTuber, my best friend out there, Matt Jacobson, but you know him better as Gojira F51. He has said many times before that Godzilla is the only good reason to watch Final Wars. He's the best thing about Final Wars, and I completely agree. It is not his fault that Final Wars is a dumpster fire. It is not his fault that Final Wars is the train wreck that it is, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? He makes it more worthwhile. Want to get that out of the way right now. Sorry for the mini rant, but I got to give you a shout out to him because he's the one that really made me come around on Final Wars just a little bit. Not all the way around. I still consider it a dumpster fire, but again, it's not Godzilla's fault that the film is that way. Want to get that out of the way right now. But when it comes to the pose of this dynamic pose of Godzilla where he's twisting like he's ready to be attacked by something or attack something, I think of Final Wars, you know what I'm saying? Because that Godzilla was really active in that film from a combat perspective. So that's what I see in The Ride here. And let's go to the spikes on his on the back of his elbows here, which is something we have never seen before in the Godzilla design. And honestly, when I see that, when I see the spikes come out of his elbow, I think of the Heisei version of Gamera. And honestly, that is one of the best things I love about the Heisei version of Gamera, that they brought out those spikes that protrude from his elbows. Now, there were an offensive weapon that he retracted in '95, Gamera Guardian of the Universe, but they were a permanent fixture in the other two Gamera Heisei films, Legion and Iris. And I love, you kind of have that going on with The Ride here, where you have spikes protruding from his elbows. Again, I see Gamera when it comes to that. No different, like I said, that I saw the Anguirus tail when it comes to his tail. So it's nice that even if that is true, it's nice that they're taking other monsters aside from Godzilla himself to put into this basically Godzilla hybrid. All right, now let's go towards the face. Now, if you look at the face from the side, again, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Gojira851. He actually pointed this out to me, and I actually do agree with him. When you look at this figure from the side, the shape of the head and the shape of the face kind of reminds me of the Seibuen Godzilla from '84. Say what you will about the Seibuen. It looked goofy in certain areas and certain scenes, you know, but I enjoy that version of Godzilla. And quite frankly, when it comes to the Seibuen '84, you'll see more of him on my channel in the future. That's all I'm going to say about that. But when you look at this figure from the side, it does remind you of the Seibuen just a little bit. I really do enjoy that. Now, let's go towards the mouth, where you have like the small teeth and you have that flange on both sides of his mouth that connects the upper and the lower jaw. That's all legendary. I see nothing but legendary. Because legendary had that same thing going on with that flange or that piece, I guess, I don't know what you call it, that's on his mouth that connects the upper and the lower jaw, and the fact that this figure has small teeth, or this design of Godzilla has small teeth, kind of like the legendary. That's what I see when it comes to the mouth here. Now, again, I talked about when you look at it from the side, you see somewhat of the '84 Seibuen, but when you look at it from the front, he kind of reminds me of, again, another Heisei version of Godzilla, namely the '95 or the Rebirth. When you look at him head on, he looks exactly like the '95. And so, basically, that is what I see when it comes to this version of Godzilla. Again, the sculpt is phenomenal. The paint job is phenomenal. The dorsal plates are phenomenal. But I really do enjoy that, even if that is true, that they took what's special about this Godzilla and they took it from those specific versions of Godzilla that I mentioned. When you sit down and think about it, they basically took something special from a Godzilla design from every single era. Basically, every single era is represented in this version of Godzilla. Showa, Heisei, Millennium, Monsterverse, Reiwa, you know what I'm saying? It's all embedded into this one version of Godzilla. And I like that. I like that that premise, where we basically get like a culmination or a celebration of the various Godzilla designs over the years. And again, this is open to interpretation. But again, that is what I see in this version of Godzilla, you know what I'm saying? But again, up close and personal with this guy is amazing. Oh my God. It's just an amazing figure. It is such an amazing design. He doesn't have a bad shot. You know, I've photographed this guy from multiple different angles, and I don't recall having like a bad shot of this guy. And I think that's a good thing when you have a collectible where you can't take a bad shot of. But this thing falls into that category. So when you photograph him from the top or from the bottom, from the side or whatever, he is such a photogenic figure, and it's a masterpiece. In my opinion, a work of art. You know what I'm saying? So that's it with the backstory of me getting this figure, the packaging, you know what I'm saying, the backstory of the design itself, where I think the design actually came from the various early versions of Godzilla from the previous eras. Again, this is such an awesome figure. So if you're on the fence about getting this figure, get off that fence right now and try and grab you one. You would not be disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Whether you get this one, the light up Rick exclusive, or the standard version, you can't go wrong with this figure. And if you do get it, again, make sure you got enough space for this guy, because he needs it. He needs this much space, because again, he is bigger and larger than your standard 30cm figure. So I think that's great. I want to draw the figure review and size comparisons. Really, there's only one size comparison that I want to do. Now, mind you, I don't have any of the figures of the monsters that he fought in the simulation. Really, the monster that he fought, because he only fights King Ghidorah. He doesn't come across Rodan at all. You know what I'm saying? But there is one monster that I want to put him with in like a fantasy scenario. You know what I'm saying? And it's the monster that Godzilla fought last year, in the year of 2021. There was a movie that came out where Godzilla fought another famous giant monster. And I think you know who it is. So let's do that one and only size comparison between the King of the Monsters and another famous giant monster that he fought last year of 2021. So let's do that one and only size comparison, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Oh my God, yes, yes, yes. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I know this never happened in the film. I know this version of Godzilla did not fight this famous giant monster here. But you know what? This is so cool. So let me do the proper introduction, shall we? Along with the 30cm G-Store exclusive of Godzilla from Godzilla The Ride, we have here the Mega House 30cm version of King Kong 2021 from his appearance from Godzilla vs. Kong. And as you can see here, this is great. And again, I know this never happened in the film. This version of Kong did not fight this version of Godzilla. But again, as I mentioned earlier before we came into the size comparison, with this figure of the Ride Godzilla looking more so like a legendary / Heisei hybrid, you can kind of get away with this a little bit. And quite frankly, I kind of wish that we would have saw this version of Godzilla fight Kong. Nothing against the legendary version of Godzilla. I like that version. I don't technically love it. I'm not head over heels in love with the legendary Godzilla design. I enjoy it for what it is, don't get me wrong. But I actually like this design better. And I kind of wish that we would have saw this version of Godzilla fight Kong. And honestly, if that would have happened, I probably would have went Team Godzilla. I'm being honest. I'm just being so honest right now. If this version of Godzilla fought Kong, I would have been right there with the rest of y'all on Team Godzilla. But because legendary Godzilla is, again, I like it. I don't love it. And of course, I love Kong. You know, I love Kong being the underdog, which is why I had to ride with Kong. But in this scenario right here, I would have went Team Godzilla. I really would have. And again, this never happened, but you know, this is so cool. This is so cool to see these two together. It kind of make you wish that we would have seen this in the movie. You know what I'm saying? But again, this is to give you some options. Whether you have this one or whether you have the X Plus versions of Kong from the MonsterVerse. You know, again, it never happened in the film, but it's nice to have these fantasy matchups that you could put on your shelf so you could look at it and gaze at it and stare at it and wonder what would have happened or what could have happened. But again, I like this. I love this, you know what I'm saying? So that's it. So that's it with the size comparisons. Again, this thing is amazing. Whether you put him up against Kong or other figures, or whether he stands alone, this is such an amazing piece of Godzilla The Ride that you can add to your collection, no question about that. So let's wrap up this review with my final thoughts of the X Plus 30cm Godzilla from Godzilla The Ride G-Store exclusives. So let's go to that final commentary portion of the video, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, I'm back on my final thoughts of the X Plus 30cm G-Store exclusive of Godzilla from Godzilla The Ride. Oh my God, this thing is amazing. Again, 10 out of 10. I see nothing wrong with this figure. I see this thing as an amazing piece, an amazing addition to the S Plus roster. And I really do see this guy really winning the overall figure of the year. I'm not doing it this year, so don't ask me. But I can see this guy definitely in the conversation. If not in the conversation, I can see this guy definitely winning. You know what I'm saying? Other standout figures that are coming this year that I know for a fact are coming, that's in the conversation of figure of the year, is of course the Defo Rail Gigantic Shin Godzilla 4th form. I think that's in the conversation. The upcoming 25cm King Ghidorah 2019, that's in the conversation. The upcoming 30cm Favorite Sculptor's Line flying version of Hedra is in that conversation. Of course, the Favorite Sculptor's Line Godzilla vs. Emperor 1966 set is in that conversation. And I can see this guy in the conversation too. But you know what? If it does win, it would not surprise me. Because again, this thing is so amazing. I so love the fact that, again, in my opinion, they took something special from various earlier forms of Godzilla, or earlier versions from Godzilla from the earlier eras, and they just combined them and compacted them into this one singular version of Godzilla. Again, it's like a culmination of the suits or the designs, or a celebration, if you will. So I like that. I like that they have done that with this figure of Godzilla, even though it's not been in an official movie just yet. Hopefully they will moving forward. I'll touch on that in a few seconds. But again, 10 out of 10. I love this figure. I highly recommend it. Now, let's talk about The Ride, Godzilla The Ride. Again, the video of The Ride is on YouTube right now, just in case you're not able to get to Japan. And it's a fun video. It really is a fun video. And I'm going to give, again, like a brief synopsis of the video. I know I did earlier, but I'm going to try retread again so you can get an idea, just in case you haven't seen the video just yet. But basically, you start out, you're in this Jeep, you know what I'm saying, and you're just trying to navigate through a city that's in the process of being destroyed, and it doesn't reveal itself what's doing the destruction until King Ghidorah comes into play and comes into view. And it's an updated version of King Ghidorah, slightly different than the one that we got from the MonsterVerse a couple of years ago, but still it's a new version of King Ghidorah. And he's attacking the city, but all of a sudden he spots you trying to navigate through the city, and he does everything he can to try and stop you, to try and kill you. And he's relentless. One of the best things I love about King Ghidorah is the fact that he's evil and he's relentless in this video. Kind of reminds me of the Showa version of King Ghidorah or the MonsterVerse. And it's like you doing everything you can to try to outmaneuver him, to try to escape him. Kind of like the final scene in the 1998 Godzilla. I know, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like that. But instead of Godzilla chasing you, or a dumbed down version of Godzilla chasing you, you had this evil, three-headed intergalactic space demon that's trying to kill you at every single turn. And then as you get like through the middle of the video or through the simulation, Rodan pops in, you know, because you're propelled in the air somehow, right? You're in the air, and King Ghidorah tries to attack you while you're in the air, and now you have parachutes deployed on your vehicle to give you a safe landing as you're gliding through the air to make it to a safe landing. Then Rodan pops in, and then King Ghidorah makes short work of him. And you would think Rodan would know that by now. Between 1964 and 2019, Rodan going up against King Ghidorah one-on-one does not end well at all for Rodan. So you would think that he would know better by now, but obviously he doesn't. And then after King Ghidorah gets rid of Rodan, then he sets his sights back on you as you're trying to fly or glide your way to a safe landing. And then when it seems all is doomed and you're done for, that's when Godzilla appears. And then you get like a bird's eye view from the air as well as the ground of both these two titanic monsters, these two monster enemies go at it. And it's a good fight. Even though it's a short fight, and the King Ghidorah fan in me is like, really? Because at the end, Godzilla basically just destroys King Ghidorah by deploying one atomic blast. As a King Ghidorah fan, I'm like, you couldn't do two? You couldn't give my boy at least two? Something like that. And then at the very end, you think King Ghidorah's dead, and then because your vehicle is now close to the corpse, if you will, of King Ghidorah after Godzilla has destroyed him or has dealt with him. And you think King Ghidorah's dead, but then one of the heads starts snapping at you or whatever, and then Godzilla basically comes out of nowhere and just stomps on the head to finally end and kill King Ghidorah, and that's the end of the simulation. So I really do enjoy that. Again, it's unfortunate that we can't make it to Japan to experience the ride ourselves, but even the video, watching on YouTube, is so awesome. And again, I talked about Gojira 851 earlier when he mentioned about, you know, that the head sculpt of this figure, or at least this design of Godzilla, kind of reminds him of the Seibuen 84, which again, I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And he also said in his video, please check it out. He did a standard, he did a review of the standard version. Please check it out on his channel, Gojira 851. And he mentioned that he would love to see this version of Godzilla in the films moving forward, or at least in one film. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, you know what I'm saying? But I want to take it a little bit step further, because if you watch the simulation, right, if you notice, you know, take the monsters out of the equation, but if you look at the surroundings or where you're going through, like the decimated city that I talked about, if you notice like the buildings, especially the cars, it doesn't resemble modern day Japan. When you look at the cars, or you look at the city or the buildings or just the surroundings, the environment, it kind of reminds you of Tokyo or Japan during the Showa period, during the 1970s, or at least the 1960s. And then when Godzilla and when King Ghidorah shows up, you know what I'm saying, they're like the biggest things out there, and rightfully so, because they're big giant monsters. But it's not like how it was in 1984 when Godzilla showed up in Tokyo, and even though he's the giant monster, he is still surpassed by the big giant skyscrapers that's bigger than him, you know what I'm saying? So my point is, when you look at the surroundings or the environment in this video of Godzilla The Ride, it basically shows Godzilla, an updated version of Godzilla, an updated version of King Ghidorah, an updated cameo version of Rodan, and they put them back in the Showa situation. So again, piggybacking on what Gojira 851 said, I would love to see this Godzilla in a film or films moving forward, but also give us the Showa period also. Like, give us a period piece where you put these updated versions of these monsters back in the Showa setting at least one more time, because you know I'm a huge Showa fan, you know what I'm saying? And it's been done before, like the MonsterVerse Kong Skull Island, even though that was made in the modern era, the story takes place back in 1973. So it can be done. It's not impossible for them to do something like this, where they take an updated version of Godzilla or an updated version of a classic monster and put it in a show or setting. So that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. But if it doesn't happen, at least we got this awesome video through Godzilla The Ride. Again, check it out. It's on YouTube, or if you're able to get, to put the money together and take a trip to Japan, go to the Seibuen, amusement park and check it out. And I'm sure you have a fun time. But until that happens, this is such an awesome, amazing release, an amazing figure from X Plus. And I'm glad I got it. Whether it's the RIC version with the light up, the standard, or the G-Store exclusive right here, you cannot go wrong with this figure. Trust me when I say that. Yes, yes, yes. So that pretty much concludes my review of the X Plus 30 centimeter G-Store exclusive of Godzilla from Godzilla The Ride. Yes, yes, yes. If you have any questions, comment down in the comment section. Hit me on Facebook, be a Let's Be Chambers. We'll definitely go from there. Yes, once again, awesome figure. Woo, my God. Again, I see this guy winning figure of the year. I really do. I really do see this guy winning figure of the year because it is unique. It is a work of art. It is exquisite. It is awesome. It is brilliant. It is spectacular. It is all those things. And again, it's a celebration, in my opinion, of past versions of Godzilla. And to have it all within this one singular body, this one singular entity, this one singular just collectible of Godzilla himself, I think is a great, 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 great thing. And again, I think King Ghidorah 2019 is in that conversation. I think the favorite sculptors line Hedra's in that conversation. I think the favorite sculptors line Godzilla vs. Airbus 66 sets in that conversation. But I also believe this guy is in that conversation too. And again, if he wins, it wouldn't surprise me because he is worth it. He is so worth it. And again, if you're on the fence about getting this guy, whether it's the G-Store exclusive, the light up RIC, or the standard, get this guy in your collection and you will not be disappointed. Yes, yes, yes. And my last, my couple of videos as of late have been X Plus figures. Again, I'm still on a modded kit tear, you know what I'm saying? So the next video will be my giant sculpture of the 1971 Godzilla, courtesy of Tenjitsu Crafts, but I had it morphed into the 1972 Godzilla. That will be the next video on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Review, so please stay tuned for that. I can't wait to get that video up and running for y'all. But again, this is great. This is great. I highly recommend it. So ladies and gentlemen, I give to you finally the X Plus 30 centimeter G-Store exclusive of Godzilla from Godzilla The Ride. You can't go wrong with this figure, and I highly recommend it. Yes, yes, yes. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on the next Figure Move review. All right? Y'all take it easy.